Hello, everybody, and welcome to another AMA with the American Crypto Academy. Today, we are joined by our special guest, Daniel, and we have with us the CMO of the American Crypto Academy, Ivan Dimov, and then, of course, our special guest, Daniel Diaz, who is the CEO of Metagold Miners Club, and myself filling in for AltMom today, who would have been hosting, but she's caught up at the moment, so I'm stepping in. My name is Kenton. Very happy to be here. And thank you for having me, American Crypto Academy. Thanks for having me. So yeah,
Absolutely.
first I do want to throw it over to Ivan. Ivan, we're in for a great show today. Yeah, if you would just introduce yourself briefly for the crowd, that would be a great starting point.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. My name is Ivan Dimov, CMO of the American Crypto Academy. I'm very excited for this AMA session where we get to learn more about our special guest, Daniel, with Metagold Miners Club and what they're building and developing. And so definitely looking forward to that.
Absolutely. Yeah, Ivan, thanks. And this will be a good discussion. I know you already know a bit about what we're going to be sharing and hearing from Daniel today, but we're going to really dive into it and we'll be able to get some good questions answered. And I should say that as well. We'll be up here talking to Daniel, but if you have questions, make sure to drop them in the chat wherever you're watching from. We'll be looking through and seeing what you've commented and just let us know what you want us to ask and we'll go ahead and do so. So yeah, Daniel, are you ready for this AMA? How are you, my friend? And thanks for being here.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. I am ready to go, and yeah, let's do it, man.
Awesome. Daniel, before we get into questions, will you just give a little background about yourself? How did you even end up with Metagold Miners Club? If you want to get into at least your history there, just so the audience knows.
Yeah, sure. I'll start a little bit before I got into Medical Miners Club, how I got into crypto. I used to be anti-crypto until October of 2020. And yeah, I was a stockbroker, so I learned about how the fiat monetary system worked, and then before that, I was in insurance. But what the one thing that's driven me into blockchain, and I have a 22-year career as a political consultant, activist, and lobbyist. That is because I'm a first-generation Cuban American, and my family fled Cuba in 1965 with literally nothing but the clothes on their back. In the Havana airport, they confiscated everything, and if it wasn't for friends and family already here, my family would have been on the streets. My grandfather, grandmother, aunt, and mother lived in a one-studio apartment in Miami, and they went from having construction businesses, apartments, farm, land, and everything, all that was confiscated, to having nothing and starting from scratch. So my grandfather started working in the construction company, pouring cement in Miami for sidewalks. And to make some extra money, they would go to a local grocery store called Sedano's, buy pies. My grandmother would cut it up, put it in saran wrap. My grandfather would sell it for a quarter, a nickel, whatever, just to make ends meet. Well, America is absolutely amazing. It provided my family the opportunity to rebuild. So my grandfather worked from the bottom as a cement pourer all the way up to buying the construction company. In the 80s, he sold it. He retired in his early 50s and left an inheritance for my family. So I heard stories about how we had everything. It was taken away because of socialism and communism. And I heard about how America provided these opportunities to my family. So I promised myself at a very young age, I started politics at 16, that I'll never allow what happened to my family's country to happen to my country. And I thought the best way to do that was to fight in the political realm, help people get elected, lobby for legislation, run super PACs, and so forth. Now, I got a lot of people elected. I got a lot of legislation passed through, but it just wasn't enough. There's just too much corruption in politics, even in the United States. So I hurt my back in high school and did some jiu-jitsu. I took a year off. I had a political direct mailing company, and then I needed some help physically because at the time I was walking with a cane. And around early 2020, I had a business partner come in with me to help me with my businesses, and she started talking to me about Bitcoin. And prior to this, I had already been an insurance agent and a stockbroker, and I'm like, I don't want anything to do with that imaginary magic money. Like, it's just internet money. It's worthless. It's like tulip. And then for every week, she just started hounding me, buy Bitcoin. Bitcoin was like $3,500 at the time in March of 2020, give or take. And I'm kicking myself that I didn't take her advice then. But from March till about August, September of 2020, it was nonstop. Look at Bitcoin. We should buy Bitcoin. She teamed up with a buddy of mine named Dan, and they started tag teaming me about cryptocurrency. Finally, in September, I said, stop. I'm never going to buy Bitcoin. I don't want to hear any more about it. So Dan gave me a call, and he's like, hey, bro, let me come over and show you 2 videos. If after these 2 videos you're not convinced about blockchain technology, we won't talk to you about it anymore. I didn't even need to watch the second video. It was Don Tapscott in 2016 on a TED Talk talking about how blockchain is changing business and money. And it wasn't the immutability. It wasn't technology, excuse me. What got me and what convinced me to be pro Bitcoin and pro blockchain was around the end of the video where he was talking about how 70% of the world's population have tenuous titles and deeds, and how the blockchain will allow us to put land deeds and titles in the chain and be immutable. It can't be deleted. He mentioned that 100 years from now, your ancestors can prove you own the land. Because he gave an example in Nicaragua how the governments just tore up land deeds and titles, went with their guns, said, hey, this is my friend's land, according to this title, get off. And when I heard that, a light bulb went off. And I'm like, holy cow. If we had this technology in the 50s and the Cuban government was overthrown, we can go back and either get reparations from the government or get our land and businesses back and so forth. And at that point, I realized that blockchain technology can provide more freedom economically, politically, and personally than any political activity I'm in. So I switched my political career from being a political consultant to being a blockchain consultant and crypto miner. And I've been doing that ever since.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Wow,
Welcome.
that was quite an answer. Oh my goodness. That was great though. That was great.
Welcome.
Yeah.
So what, tell us, Daniel, we're going to jump right into this. I'm curious. It's always nice to hear a refresh of what we know, and I may know some about the project you're building with MetaGold miners, but give us a summary of what that project's all about. And because of the background you just shared, how you're tying it all in.
Yeah, absolutely. So my mission has always been to prevent what happened in Cuba to happen here, fighting socialism, communism every way that I can. And I got into crypto in 2021. In 2022, I bought my first NFT, and that NFT provided a yield every week. And it was phenomenal. So by around November, me and my co-founder of MetaGold Miners Club started talking about creating some type of derivative product where we can use it for crypto mining, diversify the portfolio so it isn't all eggs in one basket. And at the time, I sold my NFTs. I doubled my money. I bought them for 10 grand, sold them for over 10 grand, and I made 10 grand over the 1 year period, less than 1 year period. And I started investing it into NFTFi, providing high interest yields to NFT holders like Bored Ape Yacht Club, Other Side, and so forth. And I was initially doing 90-day loans, but the more experienced lenders like, hey, whoa, bro, relax. You don't want to do that because if something happens in the news, you're holding a bag of NFTs that are worth nothing. So that started bringing up the question, like, wait a second, NFTs have no inherent value. Even if they're getting amazing returns, any bad news or if they stop making payments, the NFT is worthless. Like, how do we ensure that these NFTs have a value, they have a guaranteed floor price? So I didn't really come up with the idea until I started driving to my parents' house in South Carolina, listening to the Fiat Standard. I read the Bitcoin Standard, but in the Fiat Standard, the author mentioned multiple times that that it was the first time in human history that all of humanity regressed economically from having the hardest, soundest form of money, which was gold, to paper fiat. And he mentioned that multiple times, and it just a light bulb went off. I'm like, holy cow, this is how we do it. We had gold to the NFT. So I contacted my founder, my co-founder. I'm like, hey, he's our developer. He's our CTO. I'm like, can we create a smart contract that when somebody mints the NFT, it automatically adds a portion of gold to the smart contract, and then that NFT is redeemable so the NFT holders can claim that gold? He's like, yeah, absolutely. So we developed a smart contract, and we started rolling. And I joined an organization called NFT Academy. They're kind of in flux right now, but it's exactly as you would think it is. It teaches you how to launch an NFT project. The number one thing they said for you to do is lock down your artists. Well, the previous NFT project I was part of had an A+ rated comic book artist, and I reached out to him, And I pitched him the idea, and I wasn't even a quarter of the way through it. He's like, bro, I get pitched hundreds of NFTs that are crap. I don't even need to listen anymore. I'm 100% on board, and I'll be your artist. When I heard that, I knew we had something good, because ever since then, everybody I pitched the idea to has loved what we were doing. And it's morphed. It changed from just a passive income, and we had some, SEC rules that we needed to get around, which, led to a learn to earn system, and, it's progressed since then. But essentially, Meta Gold Miners Club is an NFT where you purchase it. A portion of the mint price goes into gold, and the remaining amount will go to an account where we invested in crypto mining and other investments that the DAO votes for. So to get around SEC rules, we can't have an effort of others. There has to be some type of managerial decisions by the NFT holders, and you can't get passive yields and income into security. So we've answered all those things by creating a DAO where every NFT holder gets a vote. You can't just claim free yields. It's not guaranteed that you'll earn yields every month. And we're paying it in wrapped Bitcoin and gold every month. And they can claim that wrapped Bitcoin and gold every month by learning about sound money principles and financial literacy and blockchain technology. It's a way to incentivize learning by having people earn gold, and it's digital, but you can claim the physical and wrap Bitcoin, which we're trying to bring together the gold bugs and the Web3 Bitcoin maximalists. And my argument is this: gold is the historical best store of value. Bitcoin is the new store of value, and it's also a way to grow your wealth. Why not take your profits when Bitcoin hits all-time highs? Instead of in the USDT, you put it into gold, because gold has outperformed the S&P 500 over the last 20 years, the Dow Jones Industrial, and has destroyed inflation. Gold is a phenomenal store of value to preserve your wealth, while Bitcoin is a great store of value and a way to increase your wealth. So that's essentially our project in a nutshell.
That's awesome. There's a lot to unravel there. But you mentioned a little bit about the learn to earn part, and can you elaborate a little more as to what that really means and how you're tying that into the project, please?
Yeah, so we reached out to American Crypto Academy, and we absolutely loved their platform, and we became partners. And we were initially going to try to create our own system, but when I saw what they had, I'm like, why don't we just partner together and use your education platform for our learn to earn system? So we had to create a learn to earn system, because otherwise any type of passive yield is automatically a security. I don't care what anybody tells you. If you do nothing to make money, it's a security. But if you learn and we educate you, and now the education part is multifaceted. It's not just to get around SEC rules. It was always meant to be an education platform. We added the learn to earn after we learned about the SEC issues. But the problem with people not having freedom is the fact that they don't know how to invest. They don't know about cryptocurrency. They don't understand what sound money is. They don't understand how gold has been the best preservation of wealth. Silver has also been a great preservation of wealth. Gold is the king's money, while silver is the common man's money. So I think when people understand, because what I found within the Web3 community is they have an understanding of what sound money is, because they understand what Bitcoin is. Bitcoin is sound money, but it's the new form of sound money. I think by educating people on the traditional understanding of sound money and how gold and Bitcoin play a role in a sound money economy, it will help people make sound decisions on their financial futures, which will help lead to, like I said, economic freedom, personal liberty, and political freedom. So, hey, Mike, pleasure. Mike's one of our new members on Sound Money Mondays. Facts, love it. So, but yeah, the learn to earn, we initially were going to just focus on sound money, but Elisa and other people in our organization, even Ivan, how about financial literacy, learning about stocks, bonds, and understand the whole fiat economic system, and then also blockchain. If they're going to be in our community, we're trying to bring gold and Bitcoin together to learn about blockchain. So we incentivize people to learn about financial literacy, sound money, and blockchain technology by earning gold and Bitcoin. And that's basically the crux. We wanted to empower people with the education they needed to make sound financial decisions to get out of the rat race, this fiat rat race that's basically enslaving humanity.
Interesting. Very interesting. And with that, I mean, you mentioned financial literacy. What part of your mission is focused on that and bringing it back to education? Why the focus on financial literacy? What's the importance there?
Man, I used to be an insurance agent and a stockbroker, and part of my job was financial analysis and looking at people's finances, how they're saving, their net worth and their cash flow, and then giving them plans on how to save and where to save, and identifying where they can actually cut back. And there's just there, as an insurance agent and stockbroker, it broke my heart to find people near retirement that had nothing, that had so much more debt. They had hundreds of thousands of dollars, and some people can never retire. And that's because of a lack of financial literacy, a lack of education. Schools do not teach you financial education. They teach you how to be a part of the rat race and work for somebody. And I think education is power. I think the more you know, the more you can make critical decisions and make better decisions for not just you, but your family and your friends and so forth, and your circle of influence. Because when you're successful, it's only going to magnetize people to come towards you to learn what you're doing. And then you have an opportunity to teach them the exact same things you've learned. My education in insurance and understanding the insurance side of things, and then being a stockbroker, gave me a very firm understanding of how the world works economically. Then in this past year, learning about sound money and learning how money's worked over the last 10,000 years and adding that to the current contemporary understanding of finances, to me, it just blew my mind. When I watched, there's a great series for your people listening, called Hidden Secrets of Money by Mike Maloney. It's a 10-episode series. The first 7 episodes, as a Bitcoiner, you might be, wow, how about Bitcoin? It fits the definition of sound money. Don't worry. The longest episode, which is an hour and a half, all the others are around 30 minutes, is about crypto and Bitcoin. He changes his position and actually puts out and say, hey, I didn't believe I was going to do this until my silver and gold bugs about this, but I'm going to tell them, because I bought 10% of my portfolio in Bitcoin. He did a complete 180 from not really caring about crypto and realizing, hey, this is sound money. That series blew my mind, connecting physical with digital and how it can bring not just freedom, but also preserve the wealth, because there's a lot of issues right now globally around finances. You have the de-dollarization of the US dollar. You have BRICS coming in with about 69 countries they've invited to the summit this month. And it's the global South. They didn't invite anybody in North America. They didn't invite anybody from Europe. It is the global South that are coming together to decide what currencies, and it's going to be local currencies, not the dollar, that they're going to settle trades and so forth. And, this is all part of financial literacy. If you understand where we came from, why the dollar is so bad, because when we got off the gold standard, I mean, the education is the tools you need to free yourself. Because if you're the most complacent people, or the people who are ignorant, people who refuse to learn. Education is a lifelong endeavor. And there's a saying, the day you stop learning is the day you die. You have to continue to learn to improve yourself in any way, whether it's health, whether it's financially, whether it's spiritually, but constant growth and constant education. So our project, it's a meta gold, meaning Web3, but it's primarily an education platform to teach you the skills you need financially.
Very cool. Very cool. And we have a question from the audience we can take at this point. How is the physical gold being stored?
That's a great question. So we initially were using PaxG, and PaxG has a vault in New York and a vault in London, but we have struck a partnership with another gold and silver asset-backed digital currency company called Load. And they have a chain-agnostic gold and silver token. They're Avalanche chain, but they can take their gold and silver anywhere. So we recently did the partnership. We're actually in the middle of switching out our NFTs that were minted with PaxG and Load. So Load has multiple vaults around the world. They are not audited, but they get reports from the vault owners of how much is being held. So yes, there are third-party risks for any type of physical asset that's tied to the digital, whether it's real estate, whether it's precious metals, whether it's a car or whatnot. There's a lot of different projects out there that are tying NFTs to the physical. There's always going to be that third-party risk, but the gold industry is very, very particular about privacy and about having their gold in privately controlled vaults like Brinks, Lumens, and so forth. And so the gold, with our partners with Load, they have their own gold and silver. Every single gold and silver token is a right of ownership. When you have that gold token with Load or any of these other asset-backed digital currencies, you actually own the gold in that vault. And Load has very low redemption rates. If you have an ounce of gold, you can actually redeem a physical ounce from their vault. They will send it right out of their vault. And the threshold for silver, I think, is 200 ounces of silver. If you have 200 ounces of silver, you can also claim that physical product. And that's what makes us different from a lot of different projects out there that are gold backed or silver backed, because a lot of them, they're either very high redemption rates, like that's the reason why we left PAX G. PAX G, the threshold's 400 ounces of gold. That's like $800,000. So, that's beyond even our OG Access Pass budget. But Load has very low redemption rates, and I love the fact that they're decentralized and chain agnostic.
Well, I mean, you mentioned gold redemption a couple different times. You mentioned it earlier and now. And is that sort of a claimable rewards mechanism, or can you explain a little bit more about being able to claim gold? Where's that gold that's attached to each NFT?
Yeah, so there's digital claiming or redemption, where you can burn the NFT, and that the NFT is your ownership right. We have no control over the gold when you're mint. We've developed it that way. The only people who have access to the gold in the smart contract, the wallet address attached to the smart contract, are the NFT holders. We have an option on our website where you can burn that NFT, and then the gold is deposited into your wallet. And then there's a physical redemption where you, instead of burning it, you send it to us, because then we have to coordinate with Load or one of our other wholesale partners. For instance, like Silverback Precious Metals, they've agreed to sell us gold and silver at wholesale rates if there's a lot of redemptions, and then we sell we burn the NFT, we get the gold, and then there will also be other fees, because there'll be shipping fees and so forth that we would have to negotiate with the wholesaler. That'll be all on the website once it goes live for one of our My Precious Gold sites that we're launching. But with the MetaGold miners, that's already live. You can burn the NFT right now and claim that gold. And the physical redemption is the same thing. It would go to us, we'd burn it, we negotiate with the gold and silver companies to get that shipped to you.
And along the same lines, and sorry, I'm going to bring this back. I think you mentioned it earlier, but since we just mentioned it again, how exactly, just the rundown of how is each one of your assets, the NFTs that you're minting, gold backed? So
when you mint, with right now we're taking Ethereum. So the smart contract has an API with a DEX that automatically converts the ETH into a percentage of gold. For the OG Access Pass, it's 0.25 ounces of gold. For the main NFT, which we haven't launched yet, it's going to be a half ounce of gold. So depending on which product you purchase, that ETH is then converted into AUX, which is the Load's gold token. That AUX is deposited into the smart contract, and then your NFT is your claim check towards that digital gold that represents physical gold in a vault.
Got it. And so you mentioned there's a couple of different NFTs, and I know you also mentioned earlier the OG Pass.
Yes.
And what you just called the main NFT. Tell us the difference.
Yeah, so the OG Access Pass is for early adopters within our community who decide to mint and support us. The OG Access Pass is acting like a fun seed funding raise. And the OG Access Pass is the only NFT that we'll ever produce that will actually increase the amount of gold in that smart contract, because we're going to take a portion of the mint revenue by crypto miners, assuming the DAO approves it, and then every quarter we're going to add more gold to the smart contract. So your NFT at some point will be worth more than what you paid for, and will have more gold than was initially put in there with the smart contract. So the OG Access Pass actually has several utilities. Let me pull it up. I have it right here. So, like I said, there's quarterly gold reserve deposits. You get, instead of all the other NFTs that get 1 vote in the DAO, with OG Access Pass, you get 2 votes in the DAO. You get up to 10% discount on all future mints. You also get a 50% discount on the spread that's called the premium in our My Precious Gold website, which is 1-to-1. So if you buy an ounce of gold, it's going to be 1 ounce NFT. We'll be acting like a bullion wholesaler or retailer, where we make a small profit off of the spot price of the gold and silver, and like between 1 to 5% above spot price. OG Access Pass holders get 50% of that premium taken off. We also have you automatically listed on the whitelist for all future NFTs. And let me see what else we have here. Oh, we also, when we have in real life events, whether it's at the Bitcoin conference, Mining Disrupt, where we have an event, you'll get free access to the VIP section of our in real life events. And there's other utilities that we plan on adding in the future as we develop our company and our other products that come out.
That's awesome. I think that's one of my favorite parts about the project is the OG Pass and how it grows and how much gold it stores or is holding. I
mean, it's only 0.25, but over time, depending on how profitable Bitcoin mining is, and which I predict is going to rapidly increase over the next 2 years. I mean, your 0.25 could be an ounce within, a year and a half time. Who knows? It all depends on the profitability of Bitcoin mining.
So maybe you plan on telling us in a little bit about this, but you keep mentioning My Precious website. Tell us, what is My Precious?
So My Precious is like a bullion store, but we call it My Precious Gold, partly because you helped us come up with the idea, Ivan. I love the idea. It's going to be a marketplace where you can buy gold and silver backed NFTs that are 1-to-1. We have 5 different amounts for each. Actually, I should have pulled that up, but off the top of my head, I know we have 1 ounce of silver, we have 5 ounces, 10 ounces, and I think 100 ounces or 200 ounces. And then for gold, we have a 1/4 ounce, 1/2 ounce, full ounce, I think, and 10 ounces another. So why buy an NFT backed by gold 1-to-1? Why not just buy the token? Well, every single asset-backed digital currency out there, whether it's PaxG, Tether Gold, AUX, KAU, they have basis points for swapping and transferring. So if you want to barter with gold, you're always going to get a piece of your gold sent to Load or Kinesis or Tether and so forth. But by storing your gold in our 1-to-1 backed NFTs, and those NFTs are fungible, we actually developed in the smart contract a way to split, say, a 1 ounce into 1/5 ounce gold or any other derivative. You can break down the silver NFTs to barter and transfer. By having your gold and silver stored in the smart contract and using the NFT to barter, you're not losing any gold and silver, because you're not actually moving that gold and silver around. You're just moving the NFT. So that's one of the reasons why you want to do that. Plus, it's a heck of a store of value, man. Like, if you bought 100 ounces or 200 ounces of silver, I mean, that's a lot of silver. You're gonna have to put it in your safe, and it gets pretty troublesome. That's part of the reason why gold and silver it's seen more of a commodity, because it's hard to move a lot of wealth around when you have a lot of it. But digitizing gold and silver is really the only way that I see the world getting back to a sound money economy. And the NFTs are just a mechanism to be able to trade and barter and hold value in an NFT, because the NFT acts as a clean check.
So what I'm hearing is My Precious is going to be a store to buy and sell precious metals via digital assets like NFTs.
Correct.
I think it's pretty awesome.
It's innovative, very innovative.
Yeah, thank you. It was both myself and my co-founder Aaron, who's the CTO of the organization, the company.
Okay, so that's so it's going to be a bullion marketplace. Bullion, that's what's referred. I didn't know what a bullion was until I started getting into more of exploring these gold-backed projects, and it's interesting to see. Like, I'm still learning, even in, I can tell you lots about Web3, but I can't tell you enough about gold. I don't know enough outside of I like gold. I see the value in it because every king in history has. So there's got to be something in there for it. I think gold continues to be relevant regardless of what happens with currencies out there, because I don't think any particular political figure or organization or party in any way can say or do one thing or another. The free market decides, and that's why I think gold's remaining relevant even with our Web3 initiatives happening all around us.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, go ahead.
Well, no, go ahead.
I'll do a comparison between Bitcoin and gold. Bitcoin is great because we're turning pure electricity into a digital asset that has value. I mean, it's the most efficient way of turning electricity into money, right? And then for gold, the only way gold is created is through the power of a supernova. All the gold in the universe was due to extreme explosions, and that's basically how we got the gold. The only way to increase the amount of gold is either through asteroid mining or hitting the Earth. And I think it's interesting because what is our economic energy? It's just us using our energy and then using a form of currency or a store of value. The best store of value is gold and Bitcoin, because we don't want the economic energy that we've exerted through our job, through our companies or whatnot to disappear. And that's exactly what's happening when you keep it in the fiat currencies. If you have your economic energy in a dollar, you're losing around 8%. Supposedly, it's probably more like 15% a year. In the US dollar. And if you're in Venezuela, it's closer to like 200 or 400% inflation. You're losing your money, your economic energy like that. So it's better to store your economic energy in gold or Bitcoin than in any other form of fiat currency, because you don't want to lose that power, that energy you exerted, because our energy is limited. Time, we can never gain any more time back. Time is our most valuable asset, and gold and Bitcoin gold and Bitcoin are the best ways to store that, to ensure we don't lose what we've done.
Awesome. So it's more supernovas for more gold, huh? Because Bitcoin, there's no way to multiply Bitcoin anymore, even with a supernova.
Exactly. It's the point. Yeah.
All right. When do you expect to have your bullion marketplace, your gold marketplace, or what you're calling My Precious?
There's a tentative launch date for August 21st. Tentative because we're working with Lowe to make sure we have the liquidity in place, and we're still developing the actual aesthetics of the website. The smart contract is like 95% done. Yesterday we had a call with Aaron, and I think it was just one last thing he needed to do to finalize the smart contract. And once the liquidity is added onto this Ethereum chain, we'll be able to start testing it. I say tentatively because we're shooting for August 21st, but if there's some hiccups, we might have to push it back.
It's cool. Hopefully you don't. But it's there's always pushbacks with development. It's understandable. You can't guarantee what if something works, and then you gotta fix bugs and whatnot and get it to the right way. And especially with something so important, security should also obviously be highly important. Make sure everything's working.
Absolutely. And 821 was on purpose because there's some subliminal messaging there. 8 represents the 8 decimal points for Bitcoin because it's 100 million Bitcoin Satoshis for one Bitcoin, and 21 represents the 21 million Bitcoins and the 2100 blocks per halving. So that was purposeful. That's why I wanted to choose that. I thought it was enough time. We still have 3 weeks. We might be able to hit the target, but there's some subliminal messaging on the launch date.
It's good. I like it. The subliminal messaging.
Right on. I like it. Just a reminder for anyone out there watching the audience, feel free to drop your questions. You do need to be on YouTube or Twitch if you want to send some questions towards Daniel and the show here. So definitely invite you to do that. But with that, Daniel, I know you've partnered up, and we've mentioned American Crypto Academy and MetaGold Miners have partnered up, and we will help you build an academy teaching sound money. I don't know that we've finalized the name that you want to use yet or not. There's some discussions there, but with that, what have you explored any other strategic partnerships with your organization? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we partnered. So I have some official partnerships. I have some unofficial partnerships, and then we have some wholesalers, which I mentioned. We partnered officially with American Crypto Academy. We've partnered with Load officially, and then my mining company, and then Aerotrix Labs, which is our CTO's company who developed the smart contract. We have some unofficial partnerships because they just haven't signed the partnership agreement yet, with Citizens for Sound Money, Collective Finance, and Diamondback, which is a Diamondback stablecoin. And then our unofficial, our official wholesaler for gold and silver is Silverback Precious Metals. The one I'm most excited, other than American Crypto Academy, is Citizens for Sound Money. They were the first organization I reached out to for a partnership because I wanted to find an organization that can provide sound money education and content. But it morphed from just being education partners to them hiring me because of my political background as their legislative director for their legislative initiative, which is passing sound money legislation. So that's an amazing partnership and relationship that we've built that is extremely strong, and I'm really excited about what we're doing legislatively on that end.
Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations on that. Legislative Director for Citizens for Sound Money. How are you going to, and I hear your passion, I know about your passion, but if you can share with the audience how you're going to take advantage of that, not so much for a personal gain, but to help your mission and spread the narrative that you're driving with MetaGold Miners Club.
Yeah, absolutely. So there is a digital aspect to our legislation. So this past week during Mining Disrupt, I set up a bunch of meetings with senators, House reps. I met the FinTech policy director for the Florida regulatory. Hold on, do I have it here? He's a cabinet appointed position for Ron DeSantis, and everybody loved it. We have a Senate sponsor for the bill. We have at least 3 House reps that are willing to be sponsors. And then the policy director was so impressed with our initiative, he presented it to Governor DeSantis' cabinet this past Friday. And they came back to us and they said that this piece of legislation is most likely going to be approved by the governor. And anything that's approved by the governor is just going to get passed through the House in the next legislative session. So let me tell you what our legislative agenda is so you understand why these people are so excited. In Florida, Governor DeSantis made CBDCs illegal to be used in the state. So we've developed a 3-part legislative package. The first part of the legislative package is to get the states, not just Florida, but all the other states that we're targeting, to recognize their constitutional right to mint money in the form of gold and silver. The Constitution barred states from minting their own fiat, but there is a but in the Constitution in Article 1, Section 10, Clause 1 of the Constitution, where it says, but gold and silver coins. So we want them to recognize their constitutional right to mint gold and silver coins, and then get rid of any sales and capital gains taxes for the ownership and buying and selling of that gold. That's the first part of this package. The second part of the package is getting the states to institute their own depository or vaults to store their own gold and silver coins, and to use a percentage of the gold and silver to put in their state reserve funds and also their pension funds for the state employees. Because, like I mentioned earlier in the show, gold, I was shocked when I did the numbers, but gold has outperformed the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones by a quite large number. And when they saw that, they couldn't believe it. And then the third part of the legislative package is digitizing the state's gold and silver in their vaults into asset-backed digital currencies, so charter banks and citizens within the state and even outside the state can use gold and silver, the state's gold and silver, to transact, whether it's using a debit card or paying bills and so forth, because by fractionalizing gold and silver, you can use it to buy a cup of coffee. using the debit card. It automatically sells the gold and silver, and boom, in the fiat, and it purchases. Plus, states that have already recognized gold and silver as legal tender specie, like Utah, have directories of all the businesses in the state that accept gold and silver for purchases of retail or wholesale. So that's kind of the vision we're looking for in the state of Florida. And everyone we spoke to, the senators, House reps, the governor's cabinet, and most likely when we're done with our policy analysis, which is going to be at least a 20-page policy analysis on the effects of gold and silver on the economy, what it's going to do to how we're going to implement gold-backed digital currencies, and so forth. So we're going to be getting all the information we need. We have a meeting with the policy director tomorrow at 2:00 with our legislative committee to gather all the information we need to put the policy analysis together to give to the governor. And if the governor gives a thumbs up, we don't even need sponsors on the House and Senate side, because the governor in the state of Florida can just issue legislation directly into the committees and push it through the House and the Senate.
That's amazing. Do you have an idea of how many states are already accepting, besides Utah, gold or silver as a legal tender?
There aren't many. I think Alaska is another one. There's a great website called the Sound Money Defense League. They have a map with all the laws of sound money laws listed on there. Soundmoneydefense.org is a website. I'll post it here in the chat if you want to share it with others.
Yeah, if you don't mind, that'd be great. So everyone can take a look.
And if you click on state laws, you can click on the different states. I think, let me see, Alaska. Is it legal tender? Alaska, yeah, I mean, you can look through them, recognize. Yeah, I think, yeah, it's recognized as money. Alaska did that. So there are only a handful of states that recognize a legal tender specie. I think there's only 14 states that still have sales taxes on gold and silver. Florida's one of them, but it's a $500 threshold. So, yeah, if you want to learn more about where your state stands on the sound money side of things, you can check out soundmoneydefense.org.
Here, I'm going to share this with everyone, soundmoneydefense.org. It's right there in the chat. I'll also throw it up on the banner. And we're talking about soundmoneydefense.org.
There you go. So right now, the number one most friendly state for sound money is Wyoming, South Dakota. Here's another link. There's a the company Money Metals actually funds the Sound Money Defense League. This is a list of the top sound money friendly states in the union.
Yeah, that's the next link I'll drop here in chat. Thank you for sharing that. If anyone's curious to check out more, definitely feel free. So we've talked a lot about what Medical Miners Club is doing, and there's been a few, if not a handful or more, projects out there that are saying that they're backed by gold in one way or another. And curious, granted, you probably have a little bias because it's your project, but curious what makes Medical Miners Club the better choice.
Well, we are now. Yesterday, myself and my team looked at as many competitors as possible, and we identified 5 other gold-backed NFT projects. The difference between these NFT projects is all of them are somewhat centralized, and they don't. It's not on chain. Some of them are on chain, but you actually have to open up like an exchange account, get access to their account, buy their own gold currency, back it, but it's not decentralized. The difference between our project is it's completely transparent, it's completely decentralized. You have complete control and ownership. You don't need to open up an account anywhere. You can mint the NFT and have it in your wallet. You can transfer it and so forth. And we're using tokens, gold-backed digital currencies that have liquidity, and you can sell it, burn it, sell it, get your money back if you want. So our main difference between, let's say, like Golden Baboons, the Gold Silver Pirates, Loco NFT, Tress Gold NFT, Gem NFT. These are all the competitors that we found yesterday. There were others, but they weren't active anymore. Is that we are completely decentralized. The gold is in a smart contract. You can go to our smart contract and you can see the gold currently in the smart contract, and you can see all the NFTs and so forth. They're not all of them that way. I love Golden Baboons and what they're doing, but they have an off-chain contract with a company that will honor the gold if you want to redeem it. But we don't need to do that. You just burn the NFT because we have the smart contract and we've done everything on chain. So you don't have to worry about third-party risk other than the redemption of the physical gold.
Understand. Definitely do your own research out there. Obviously, Daniel's probably a little biased. I'm not gonna lie, it's his baby. But I'm a big fan. I'm always open to personally exploring other projects as well, because each one of them is going to be a little bit different. So definitely do your own research, but check out what MetaGold Miners Club and Daniel and team are building and creating for the benefit of the community as a whole. Sound money community. We're not talking Web3. We're not talking blockchain, sound money in general, but it's just another example of how that industry is taking advantage of what blockchain technology is making possible for transparency, for redemption, for rewarding, for education, and how they're implementing it. So definitely, I'm very excited, looking forward to that. And Daniel, we mentioned a lot of stuff. There's an OG mint pass. There is the main NFT representing the project, all backed by gold. Some different functions and utilities behind the OG Pass and the main NFT. We talked about a marketplace to buy and trade gold and silver, perhaps other precious metals and collectibles via blockchains using digital assets as NFTs. And you've talked about Citizens for Sound Money and your efforts there. So just trying to give a little bit of a summary there of all we've touched upon. So what's next? I know you still have to mint and fund the company and launch the Bullion store and marketplace, which I'm excited for all of those. And so we're still a little bit early with your development, but what's next once you hit all those milestones? Curious.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the project is going to be long lasting. I mean, I think education will be there forever. And as long as we continue doing crypto mining and educating people, we will ensure that socialism and communism never comes here, right? And that people will be able to make better decisions. So the future is to continue my life mission to ensure that we stay free as individuals and citizens away from socialist or communist ideals. And I'm doing that through blockchain technology, through MetaGold Miners Club, through education, through gold, through Bitcoin. I mean, all these things are tools to ensure our freedom. So for me, my life mission is always going to be the same, whether it's in politics, whether it's in blockchain. And MetaGold Miners Club is definitely a mechanism and an organization and company that is going to help continue pushing forward that. We're going to have other projects. We're going to have collaborations. I mean, there's Diamondback projects that are interested in creating NFTs. You know, we can consult for NFTs that currently have no utility, no backing, and we can create a smart contract where we can put gold behind there. There's a bunch of different things. Like, this is not an organization or company that's going to stop. We're building a model because we're going to have a education foundation. We'll have the labs or the smart contract company, and then we have a holding company that basically has all the assets that the company owns, and we're going to be here for a while. You know, for me, I was asked, because I went from politics to blockchain, and one of my friends like, hey, what are you going to do for the rest of your life? Because you've been in politics for so long, you've been moving up in the ranks. Are you sure you want to do this? Are you going to do this for the rest of your life? And I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, because I do believe blockchain technology can provide more freedom than political activity. So this is what I'm doing for the rest of my life. And MetaGold Miners Club, Citizens Sound Money, you know, working with you guys at American Crypto Academy. The way my brain works is how I make connections. I learn about people, I learn about projects, learn about businesses, and then I bring people together to create coalitions and business opportunities to move forward with my mission, you know, helping people become economically free, helping people get that freedom they want politically and personally. So that's the future for me, you know, and for the company. And whether I am always a CEO or not, I'm okay with handing the reins off to somebody else so I can do something even bigger to help people attain freedom.
Right on, right on. And we'll support you with that. Definitely looking forward to building that Sound Money Academy and exploring and further growing our partnership with the American Crypto Academy and what Metago Miners Club is building.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me on. Mike, love you, man. I love, by the way, Mike, I'm going to just do a drop of Mike. He is a gold and silver miner in Colorado. He mines gold and silver there. He refines it and he sells it. He's like a vertical mining operation, Mike Lloyd over there. So yeah, I mean, he might be that. It's him. DigiBullion Exchange. He just launched it a month ago, and you'll be able to buy his gold and silver in the near future. I mean, he's a great guy. He comes on our Sound Money Mondays. We're the only Twitter space or X space, whatever. Was that me or you?
I went in and out for a second. I'm not sure. But hey, congrats, Mike. We saw you gave us a follow to the American Crypto Academy last week, and Daniel and I were chatting about it on the side. So thank you, and shout out to you. Thanks for joining the show today. Maybe we'll bring you in on an AMA one of these days as well.
That was actually mine. I have an appointment here shortly.
Oh, well, before we call it quits here, I'll let you say a few last words and tell everyone how they can join the Metagold Miners Club and where to find you. But Kenton, do you have any other questions for Daniel before we let him share?
No, no questions. I did want to reiterate, I think it's very cool. I think that what you're working at is a lot bigger than just hey, this was a random NFT drop. The part that interested me the most was the legislation part. The fact that you're trying to actually push for a whole different system there. So, I mean, we could keep the conversation going. I could ask questions about that, but I think you gave us a really good answer and response to what exactly it is you're doing. I appreciate you highlighting some of your past as well, because that also kind of paints why you're doing this in the first place. There's a purpose here. There's a mission and a vision. So yeah, no, I'm fascinated with the legislation, and best of luck to you. We'll be following what happens though, Daniel. Thanks for even coming on today.
Yeah, thank you. And as we progress on the legislative side of things, we're going to target South Carolina, New Hampshire, Texas, and Utah. And if we're doing a capital raise right now for Citizens Sound Money, if we raise more money, we'll add more states to our target states for this legislation. And one thing I know about Florida and Texas is they like having a pissing contest on which state is better. So if Florida passes it first, you better believe Texas is next. And then there's other states that are always competing against each other. So, I was telling people yesterday, this legislation, I passed laws and I passed, legislation in the past law before. This will be the biggest thing if this passes that I've ever done in my life, because that will allow more people to have economic freedom and change their lives and change the state of Florida and every other state that accepts it to get away from that fiat economic system that is just running everybody down. So I mentioned this is the biggest thing I've ever done in my life. Somebody's like, no, it's the biggest thing you've done so far in your entire life. But, if this gets through, man, it's going to be huge.
Absolutely. Tell us, how does one become a member of Metagold Miners
Club?
Club?
Sorry, I forgot that. You can go to Metagold Miners Club. Right now, we aren't minting because we're going to reopen the OG Access Pass when we launch the My Precious Gold, because they go hand in hand. You get a discount and you get all those other utilities. So go to Metagold Miners Club, register so you can be whitelisted for all future projects and NFTs that we drop. And when it goes live, you mint the OG Access Pass, you're part of our community. You can also go to our Twitter, follow us on Twitter, follow us, subscribe on YouTube. We're going to start ramping up our YouTube channel. Our Chief Marketing Officer, Elisa, she is phenomenal. She's taking the reins on all that. And yeah, what was your other question? How to get involved with Metagold Miners Club? Social?
Yeah. I mean, just how to become a member of the club.
Perfect. Yeah. And we have a Discord channel. It's there. You can join it. It's a little slow just because we haven't launched and people got like, hey, But once we do launch, we're going to be bringing it in and growing. So go ahead and join our Discord channel as well.
Oh, Discords are slow right now. Oh, Discord servers, and I think people just have enough of Discord, and so I don't know. We'll see what happens there.
Twitter's the place to be, right? And Sound Money Mondays, every Monday at 11:30 a.m. we have a 1.5 hour show You can go to Medical Miners Club on Twitter. Follow us there, and you'll see the posts every Monday for the next talks. We have guest speakers. We talk about the latest news. Talk about gold, Bitcoin, BRICS. Everything that's related to sound money and global economy.
We'll also have all those links provided on the YouTube description. It will be updated here shortly after we conclude the video. But yeah, Daniel, thank you so much. Always a pleasure to spend time with you. Very excited to have our organizations partner up and to keep building the future of finance together. Kenton, thank you for joining us, and always a pleasure. Thank you for all of you that tuned in to the show today, whether on YouTube, Twitch, or even Twitter. Hopefully on one of these days adds chat to Twitter so we can chat with folks there as well. But again, thanks so much for joining us. Hope everyone had a great time, and we'll do it again next time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Daniel. Thanks, Ivan.
Thank you guys
for having me.
Have a great
day, everyone.
Yeah.
Have a great one, everyone. Thank you.